This was his fourth Purple Heart at 24 years old.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Fourth Purple Heart, and this guy didn't leave the fight, and he stayed with his guys to the end. I've never seen that guy ever since. He went on, he's probably living a good life, or jumping in another war. But that's the kind of soldiers that we have fighting for us. And these are the reasons these stories need to be told. What we see in the back of our helicopter on a day-to-day, mission-to-mission basis will blow your mind. You'll have a guy like that. The next minute, you'll be carrying a enemy soldier, wounded guy, and you're working him in the back of your aircraft, even though he's just trying to hurt your guys. And you're flying, and the enemy is shooting mortars over you, or you're flying a helicopter under the arc of mortars that are aimed at the base that you're flying to. My big fear in this life is, my dad was a Vietnam vet. I had a cousin who died there in '69, so my dad never talked about the war. He was in theater at the same time. When my dad was born in '44, 4 of his older brothers and a sister were all fighting in World War II. He was the youngest of 10. And I would pepper all these people about questions growing up. I'm 43, so I kind of basically grew up in the 80s. And I would pepper these people, like, what's it like? What'd you see over there? You're wanting to know, especially as a young guy. You're always wanting to know these stories and see what it's like, because you're living in a world of Rambo and other movies that are just highly inaccurate of what it's like over there. And none of them would ever talk. They would tell you a couple good stories, but nothing of action or what it's really like. They'd only tell you about the good times. And I'm afraid that a lot of the good stories are going to be lost in time as people die off. And I think it's important that we need to capture these stories. I think the Congress, Library of Congress, and all these other places started realizing it when they started with Band of Brothers and other things, where they went after these old guys before they passed, these old warriors, and got their stories. Because they realized if they died, nobody's going to know. They'll know about it in a general sense, in a history book that'll dedicate a paragraph or two out of a school history book about the war, but they won't really know about it and know about the relationships that people have and the camaraderie that builds up with these people. This is America. The military is America. You take that many people from all different walks of life, from all different parts of the United States. You grab 30 of them, put them together in a small platoon, keep them in a room for a year. You're gonna have some interesting conversations, and it's not. You're going to find brotherhoods that develop and sisterhoods and just everything, a family that just can't change over time. I still, when one of my guys calls me, one of my pilots or crew chiefs, it's like nothing ever changed, and we're back deployed again together. And I'd be willing to lay it down for them, and they would for me. It was an era of big '80s action films. So for me at that time, it was rough to get an accurate. Platoon was pretty correct, and I've had Dale Dye, who wrote Platoon, his wife, and them have went over my script 9 times or 5 times over 9 months. And Stephen Kuntz has given me some advice, and these guys. But I think that they need to, if you can share it. I understand where guys lock up, and especially if they've seen their buddy, something really bad happen to them. I got that. What I want more to be focused on is the camaraderie and the lengths we go to in a fight, or to show the brotherhood and what we're willing to do to protect each other. And I think that needs to be a focus. These things make an impact, because I found out later when one of these guys came up to me a year later when I was in Germany, coming back home after I got injured, was medevaced out. He wanted to thank me. And I don't even remember the kid, but he thanked me for teaching him. We owe it to these guys, because a lot of those guys, they didn't know. They didn't know what to expect. They thought it was movies that were made where if you're dying, you're going to die, you're going to die. That 18-year-old mentality where nobody lives forever and blah, blah, blah. Well, no, because the improvements in battlefield medicine and what we do as a flight medics have kept more guys alive that are injured and have a second chance of life than would have died in previous wars. But about getting that information out, though, I would say that it helps the future generations. It's very important too, so they can go in fully knowing what they're doing.